Okay, so today we are going to continue solving trigonometric equations. We are going to solve the kind where you would have to use the quadratic formula. So let's review that. First, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Sing it to row, row, row your boat. All right, now tan squared theta minus 2 tan theta minus 5. I am going to write that as x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0 and solve for x this way. Now if I try to factor that, there are no two numbers that multiply to negative 5 that would add to negative 2. So I'm going to use the quadratic formula. I suppose you could also use completing the square. So either way would work, especially since we have a middle term of 2 for 2x. And the leading coefficient is 1 for x squared. So using the quadratic formula, though, I'm going to do x equals, so a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 2, and c is equal to negative 5. So x equals 2 plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 plus 20, because it's negative 4 times negative 5 all over 2. So x is equal to 2 plus or minus radical 24 over 2. So now I'm going to take and divide that into two equations. And one is going to be 2 plus radical 24 all over 2. And the other one is 2 minus radical 24 all over 2. And then I'm going to say tan theta is equal to that. So in my calculator, I'm going to type in 2 plus the square root of 24, enter, and then divide 2. And so now I'm going to get tan theta equals a decimal. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Tan theta equals 2 minus radical 24, enter, divided by 2, and then hit enter again. And I'll get a different decimal. So let's go try that. So 2 plus square root 24, enter, divided by 2. No need to simplify radical 24 in this problem because we're just going to the calculator anyways. So we get 3.449. So I'm going to work with that one. Dot, dot, dot. So to solve this, I'm going to say, well, I need to look at Q, R, S. And I'm in quadrants 1 and 3. Again, how do I get the quadrant? I'm looking at the sign in front of the 3.449. It's positive. Where is tan positive? Quadrants 1 and 3. To get the reference angle, I have to go back to the calculator. And I have to do second tan, second ants. Never clear stuff out till we're through with it. And we're not through with that 3.449. If you're in degree mode, which I am, you should get 73.833. So that's my reference angle. So I did second tan, second ants. To get that reference angle. The sign is just reminding me they're both positive. Okay, so now this one says to the nearest degree. So in quadrant 1, okay, the measure of angle theta is just equal to the reference angle, so 74 degrees approximately. And then in quadrant 3, remember you do 180 plus the reference angle. So that's in there, so I'm just going to do plus 180, and I get 253.8. So that's 254. So that's the answer on that side. Now on the right-hand side, I have to finish that. So this is part of my answer. So let's go to the calculator and do tan, get the tan theta. So I'm going to do 2 minus second square root 24, enter, divided by 2. So negative 1.449. So negative 1.449, dot, dot, dot. So I'm setting up Q, R, S. So now again, I'm looking at the fact that the sign is negative. So where is tan negative? In 2 and 4. To get that reference angle, I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to get rid of that negative. So I'm going to, because I don't want to get a negative reference angle. So I'm going to do I'm just going to take my answer and multiply it times negative 1. So I'm going to just do multiply times negative 1. And then I'm going to do second tan second ants. So I'm going to do that to get my reference angle. So I'm going to say times negative 1. I do not want a negative reference angle. So now I'm going to do second tan of second ants. So my reference angle is 55.398. So we get 55.39, and it goes on and on. Again, the sign is negative, just a reminder there. So now the measure of angle theta for these in quadrants 2 and 4. So in quadrant 2, you do 180 minus the reference angle. So 180 minus that answer, 124.6. So 125 to the nearest degree. And then in quadrant 4, you do 360 minus the reference angle. So I'm going to do 180 minus second ants, and that gives me back to the reference angle that I want. And then I'm going to do 360 minus that to get my answer in quadrant 4. So 304.6, which is approximately 305. So I end up with 4 answers. Now, at the top it says to do a check. So we're going to do y1 equals tan x squared. I think it's going to look like that. Minus 2 tan x minus 5. y2 equals 0. I'm going to set my x min to 0, the x max to 360. The y min and y max I'm hoping will just stay at negative 4 and 4, because I'm just looking where it hits the x-axis, and then I'm doing second trace intersect. And hopefully I'll get these same values. So I'm going to do tan x squared minus 2 tan x minus 5, and I already had that other one in there. Go to my window, it's already set. I should be good. Hit the graph, And I should see 4 intersections with the x-axis, which I do. I don't care about the maxes or the mins. And I'll just check a couple of them. So second trace, intersect, enter, enter, enter. And it gave me that one that we had there, 124.6, and we got 125. So I'll do one more, second trace, intersect. And now I'm going to move it, so I'm going to hit down. I'm going to move it along the x-axis, hopefully. Nope, didn't seem to take it. Second trace, intersect. There we go. Let's get this one. Enter, enter, enter. And that one was our 254. So pretty sure the other ones are correct. And that's y equals 0, even though it's in scientific notation. All right, let's go back and take a look at the next one. Now we have secant squared. So I'm going to do x squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. There are no two numbers that multiply to 4 that add to 2 negative, multiply to negative 4. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 2, c is equal to negative 4. So x equals negative b plus or minus negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. So x is equal to 2 plus or minus 4 plus 16, or 20. So I'm going to go to saying secant theta equals 2 plus the square root of 20 over 2, and secant theta equals 2 minus the square root of 20 over 2. And then I'm going to figure out what that is on my calculator as a decimal. So 2 plus square root of 20 divided by 2, enter after that, and then divided by 2, so 3.236. Now, I don't have a secant button, so to find the reference angle, I have to figure out what cosine is. So cosine is just the reciprocal of that. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 3.236, which is really second ants. Okay, so that I can get cosine theta equal to a decimal. So I'm just reciprocating that. So 0.309 dot dot dot. So I'm going to set up QRS, quadrant 1 and 4. Why? Because this is positive. And now I'm going to get my reference angle, and they're both positive, so let's go back and get the reference angle. So I'm going to do second cos, second ants. My reference angle is exactly 72. Beautiful. That's why we don't want to do any rounding, or we wouldn't have gotten that. So now the answer for the measure of angle theta is 72 and 360 minus 72, or 288. So that's that side. Let's go to the other side. So let's go to the calculator and get a decimal. So 2 minus the square root of 20 divided by 2. So negative 1.236. So to get the cosine of that, I'm going to do 1 divided by negative 1.236, which is really just going to be second-ants. And negative 0.809. So QRS. So I'm looking at now where this is positive. So it is negative. It's negative in 2 and 3. And now I'm going to find my reference angle. So I'm going to do times negative 1. I want a positive reference angle, and then do second cos second ants. 36. Exactly. Makes sense. The other one was. So the measure of angle theta is equal to 180 minus 36, 144, and 180 plus 36, 216. Okay, so let's go to the calculator and check that out real quick. So I'm going to enter in. Now, to do the check here, that's going to be quite difficult. So I'm going to have to think about that. Because we're doing secant squared minus 2 times secant theta minus 4. So I think what I'm going to try to do, I have to think about that. We'll have to get back to the check on that. Let's go to the last one while I am thinking about that. All right, so on this one I think we'll just cross multiply. So we get sine squared theta plus 2 sine theta. Okay, sine theta times sine theta is sine squared theta. Sine theta times 2, 2 sine theta. And that should equal 6. So we really end up with x squared plus 2x minus 6 equals 0. And so, again, doesn't factor. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x is negative 2 plus or minus, that's 4 plus 24, 28, divided by 2. So now I'm going to break it into x equals, I'm going to do sine, bring back the sine, and make that theta. So sine theta is going to be negative 2 plus radical 28 divided by 2, and sine theta is going to be negative 2 minus radical 28 divided by 2. So sine theta is going to be this decimal. So I'm going to get that. So negative 2 plus, negative 2 plus square root 28 divided by 2 is 1.645. So Q, R, S, quadrants 1 and 2, that's where it's positive. Sine, let's get the reference angle. So we're going to do second sine, second ants. But you should notice I'm going above 1. Remember the range for sine and cosine is negative 1 to 1. So, says error quit, that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It's just that this does not have an intersection with the x-axis. So this whole side is shut down, there is no answer. So that's nice, and we just go to the right-hand side. So negative 2 negative 2 minus the square root of 28, enter, divided by 2. So I get negative 3.645. Well, that's going to have the same exact problem. So this one's also undefined. So this one has no solution. So when we go to check that, y1 equals, I guess we can do this. Sine theta divided by 2, and y2 equals 3 divided by, I'm going to do parentheses, sine theta plus 2, but that's going to be an x. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So sine x divided by 2, and then 3 divided by sine x plus 2. There we go. And the window should be set. Okay, so I don't see them intersecting anywhere, the two of them. I'm not looking where they're intersecting the x-axis anymore. I'm looking at where the two sine curves intersect, and I don't see it from 0 to 360. So that verifies that there's no solution. Okay, so I think that will do it for today, and you can verify the check on the other one with your teacher in class. All right, so have a good night.